Welcome to the Games and Giggles Podcast with Gabi and Denise, where we explore the gaming world together with a few side quests along the way.
Denise is a hobbit who accidentally took a spaceship to Skyrim. She's a character who can be slightly bewildered at her surroundings, in games or in life, but always comes out as a knight in shining armor, or at least when she doesn't trip over her own 2 feet.
Gabi is a wood elf who ended up in shooters. She looks a bit out of place, too graceful for a gun and too sweet for war, but don't get fooled by her calm demeanor. Even as a support, she sure packs a punch.
Together, we hope to give you a unique and cheery view on video games. Welcome back to episode 6 of our podcast. We are very, very happy to be back. And yeah, sorry it's been a little while, but life kind of got in the way for us. And we just took a little break.
You'd think you'd have time in quarantine, right? But
yeah.
no.
I feel like it's been the opposite experience, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to do something a little bit different. It's still about games, I guess we could say, but it's a little bit different because we want to talk about our first experiences with Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. We will just say D&D, by the way, otherwise the whole stream will not be us saying Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
So yeah, we've had a few experiences now. I've got less than Denise, of course, so we'll talk about the differences that we've had. But we've actually done a one-shot campaign together now, and we're on to our first proper campaign, proper adventure. And that has already been aired, I guess we can say, on Twitch on Friday. So you guys can already watch the start of our campaign. But in the meantime, we're just going to talk about our experiences with it. And Denise, I know that you started off, when was it now? Last year? Is that right? When did you start your first campaign?
Yes, the first campaign
ago.
actually, about a year ago. I think in autumn. I don't really remember. Yeah, the first campaign I started a year ago. I played a one shot first with the group that I was gonna play with, and the first they said they don't have time, but then it still happened. Yeah,
nice.
That was
that was a whole year ago now. And how did you find the one shot and then the actual campaign? How was that for you as to start off with?
I mean, it was amazing because D&D is amazing. No, I mean, the thing is, I've known D&D for a while now. I've watched a lot of online campaigns. I watched the High Rollers, which I think is really, really cool if someone wants to get into something. But there's Critical Role, there's Adventure Zone, there's so many more that are really, really fun.
Yeah.
And anyone interested in D&D, I'd say start by watching things. So that I already felt like I knew the game really, really well, and I already know a few spells. I already know how everything works. So when I played my first one shot, it wasn't oh my god, a completely new experience. It was more I kind of know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it myself for the first time. That was really exciting, and I do like starting off with a one shot. That was really cool because when you start as a first level character, then you can't do shit and you're really squishy. And if you start with one shot, you usually start at third or even a higher level. And that kind of helps you to get into things because you can actually do things already, which you can't if you just start at first level.
Yeah,
so
I think for one shot, for people who might not know, the one shot is you start off at a higher level, and it's usually just one sort of little adventure, right? It's not a fully pledged kind of campaign.
Exactly. I actually don't really know where the word one shot comes from. I know it from fan fiction. Have you read fan fiction so in fan fiction I know there's one shots too, which is
I've read fan fiction.
Just So basically when you have these little, I don't know, short stories that kind of exist not really outside of canon, but sometimes they do, and it's just kind of, you have this little story that's close in itself and you don't need the bigger context of it. And that's
Okay,
the same
yeah.
with one shots in D&D. So basically, the normal thing I'd say is like that you go on a big adventure. You like take a party of people, which is what you call it, like a party of adventurers, and they start somewhere and they go into a big adventure, and it's like an
Yeah.
overlapping storyline that lasts sometimes months, sometimes even years. Like in
Yeah.
the end, it can be as big as you want. And
Yeah. Which is really nice. There's a lot of
yeah,
flexibility.
but
Yeah.
it's a lot of time. Like it's a big commitment. So people like to
Yeah.
do one shots as well. That's are like little stories that span over 1 or 2 sessions. So you probably play something between 3 and 6 hours, depending on
Mm-hmm.
like what you do and how you do it. So yeah, one shots are just like the
Okay.
small
Yeah.
little 1 or 2 session kind of story,
Yeah.
while adventures can
And
take a
so
really
after,
really long time.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you went into your first like proper campaign with that same
Mm-hmm.
group,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly, yes.
And how was
That was
that?
super
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah, that was the happiest day of my life. No, it wasn't, but basically at first the group that I met, it was with a
Mm-hmm.
colleague of mine from work, and we kind of got in like started
Yeah.
talking about D&D, and he was like, "Yeah, I play a lot of D&D." And I was like, "Let me join." And he was like, "Yeah, he wouldn't mind, but like he doesn't really have a group or a campaign at the moment where I can fit in." And because it's really hard, because you can only have like 4 to 5 people, maybe a little bit more in a group, but there's so many people that want to
Yeah.
play D&D, but I think there's
Yeah.
not a lot of people who want to like host a campaign, like who want to
Hmm.
be the dungeon master of a campaign, because that's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, I'm not sure if we have space, like if we got
Mm-hmm.
something for you." So at some
Mm-hmm.
point he messaged me about the one shot, which was already a big thing. So we are now doing with a group of 3 people and one dungeon master. We're doing the Curse of Straw campaign, which is a very dark, kind of horror-y vampire campaign, which is
Oh.
really, really cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And it's super exciting because it's the first time that I really play a character about a longer amount of time, which makes it really, really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, what kind of like, because now I've kind of experienced it too, and I know
Mm-hmm.
like at the time you told me a lot about it, and I don't know, as someone who hadn't done it, I couldn't imagine what it was like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But now obviously I kind of know what it was like. So, what kind of things did you find really easy to get into, or what was hard when you first started with the campaign?
So what I found really, really easy, is
Mm-hmm.
I got into the story so quickly. Like I get
Yeah.
so into it, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about D&D. You know, you have in gaming, you have this escapism where you can really, really get into a game, but you
Mm.
first need to get to the point. But I think with D&D, because you stand there and you play, and you're not bound by the game, you're only like bound by your imagination.
Yeah.
As silly as it sounds, that's the way it is. So I get so into it. So for me, I was like, I'm in, whenever I start, I'm in from the second one. And
Yeah.
like time passes so quickly. I
Yeah.
swear I could play D&D for 12 hours and I wouldn't mind at all.
Yeah, you wouldn't even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get that a lot.
Mm.
Yeah. I
What I,
think,
yeah.
yeah. Sorry, go on, please. Yeah.
What I still think is a bit difficult is really getting to character.
Mm.
Um, because I've always kind of held myself back. I didn't want to make too silly characters or too extreme characters.
Yeah.
But I think, and you might have noticed that too, like, I think that makes it harder because if you really want to play a character, it's much easier if they have like really a really strong personality
Yeah.
in some ways. Like it could go in either way. Either they're really angry and they yell at everything, or
Yeah.
they like make fun of everything. Like these are these kind of extremes. These extreme personalities is what makes it really easy for them
Yeah.
to be portrayed, because you can
A
just go
hundred
get
percent.
into it. And the character I have in Strahd as well,
Mm-hmm.
it's a human paladin, and she's kind of rough and she drinks a lot. and
Yeah.
but she's not an extreme in a way. She's maybe a bit funny and she's very gay and this kind of stuff, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not an extreme. Like it's not that she's gonna hit on every woman or
No, no,
something
no.
like that.
Yeah.
So that's
Just like
makes it,
dramatic in some way, like something is
yeah.
exaggerated a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But that makes it harder to like makes her harder to portray because she's kind of subtle in some ways. Like the
Mm.
drinking's not subtle, but there's only so many times where you can say in a game, "Yeah, I'm gonna drink this whole bottle of wine," you know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I think like subtle characters or subtle characteristics are much harder, especially for beginners and especially in
Yeah.
like shorter amounts of time, shorter campaigns to get into.
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. What was your experience? You now played a one shot, and
Yeah.
we started with the
We
campaign.
started the campaign. Yeah. I think. Oh, you know what? I kind of have to agree with you, and I can't believe I'm saying this because
Mm-hmm.
before I started D&D, I was like, oh, I can't pull off like a really exaggerated character because I don't know if I'll be good at that, and you really have to get into the role. But it is so much easier to be an exaggerated character or have those like flaws or have those really outspoken moments or yeah, whichever direction you want to take it. But it's
Mm-hmm.
I think it's harder to be yourself, if that makes sense, because then you
Yes.
can't get into character
Mm-hmm.
if you're just playing yourself. Like for example, so in the one shot I chose quite like a quiet character so I could
Mm-hmm.
be in my comfort zone, let's say. And I didn't enjoy that because I thought, no, this should be about me role playing someone that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
in most everyday situations, you know? It should be like a chance for you to really explore that character, like get into the mindset of the character. And I feel like if
Yeah.
you play someone that's similar to you, you're just going to feel like you're playing yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
that for me wasn't as fun as it is now when I've
Mm-hmm.
chosen a
Mm-hmm.
character who's
Mm-hmm.
like really loud and outspoken and
Mm-hmm.
she's just like fabulous, you know. She's like, "Oh, it's all right, darling," you know, and it's just
You
so
and your fucking what
fun.
do you have like 20 charisma or something?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
but it's just
crazy.
so fun. It's so fun to do
Yeah.
that.
I
And you know
mean,
that you can get
yeah.
away with it, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it makes sense for the character. Yeah.
Yes, yes, exactly. I mean, to give a little bit of an explanation, so how it works with usually
Mm.
doing these characters and campaigns. I mean, I'm gonna backtrack a bit. Like D&D campaigns, for those who don't know it all, they work in the way that you have a dungeon master and you have players. And you can either have like a preset campaign that someone else does, and you kind of have a
Yeah.
book that the dungeon master follows, and he's like, oh, they're going there, so there, that, and that happens, and kind of look it up. Or you have homebrew campaigns, which the DM invents himself or themselves. Like
Mm.
whoever matches the game invents it themselves and basically build everything. Or you can have a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
Um, and you have the players, and the players invent a character. Or there's some campaigns where you have like fixed characters that you can take.
Mm-hmm.
But normal.
I mean, we invented ours. Yeah.
Exactly, that's like the
Yeah.
usual because that's half the fun, I think.
Yeah.
And so basically, the DM, the dungeon master or GM game master, narrates the whole game. Like what happens, what do the players see, what do the NPCs, so the non-player characters, do, what do they say, what happens. The DM
Yeah.
narrates through the whole thing and basically leads the players. The players, on the other hand, they have their characters and they explain what the characters do, what they say, and there's always a mixture between you're only allowed to talk in character and you just explain what your character does without really getting
Yeah.
into. That really
Yeah.
matters what like makes the players comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole thing is that the players can basically explore the world. And the thing is, with the games, you have always borders, you have always quests that you can do. There's places you can't go to, there's things, people you can't talk to. And the beautiful thing about Dungeons and Dragons is that you can literally do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that's what makes creating characters so exciting, right?
It
Because
is.
you
It
have a
is.
world and you're
Yeah.
like, what happens if I put
Yeah.
a drunk tiefling in here? Or what
Yeah.
happens if I put a very clumsy dragonborn here
Yeah.
who, I don't know, falls over every 2 seconds? That kind of
Yeah.
thing. I don't know. And
No, it is.
that's.
It's so much fun, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes it one step further than like video games, for example, where even if you have a really cool story and a really cool character that you relate to and stuff, it is that one step further because now you really make your own choices. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
is planned for you. Well, of course, some things will be kind of planned. Like
Mm-hmm.
where we're going or who will meet, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still your choice how you react to that. And a lot of games obviously have more of a strict sort of, okay, maybe there's some options of
Yeah.
dialogue, but it's the next level. It's really the
Mm.
next level in D&D that you can decide what you want to say, what you want to do, and that's so much fun.
Mm.
You really get into it. 100%.
I mean, how have you perceived that as a character with this complete freedom? Do you like in the one shot that we did or
Yeah.
the campaign, do you feel like you had to follow a certain route or do you really felt like you
Um,
wanted to do this? I mean, how did you perceive it?
Yeah, I don't know. In the one shot, it was a bit tricky because as I said, my character was very quiet and she didn't really want to join like the
Mm-hmm.
party at that time. Like that's kind of where I was going with it because she kind of got dragged into it by another character, like
Mm-hmm.
another party member. So that was hard. Like if I could redo that, I would choose a character that was a bit more willing to do stuff and a
Mm-hmm.
bit more outspoken, as I mentioned. I think that would have been a bit more fun. Um, but yeah, I think in that situation, I guess, yeah, she was a bit more like influenced to go there and do this. You know what I mean? She kind of just got
Mm-hmm.
wrapped up in all of it. But now I have a different experience completely where my character literally bumped into the other party members and she's like, "Oh, like
On
I'll join you.
purpose.
Hi."
Oh
And
yeah,
I
we shouldn't
really
give too many spoilers though,
yeah,
yeah.
I won't give too many spoilers, but she's very like she's that kind of person that would just do that, and I
Mm-hmm.
won't say why. She's got ulterior motives. That's all I say. But yeah. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm going with this one, and I feel like with this one, even though there's of course like a set plan that you've set as the
Mm-hmm.
DM, I feel like my character is the sort of person who's like, no, I want to do this. I'm doing this for myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a lot of fun because yeah, it's her making her own decisions and her talking to these people, and yeah, I love it so much. It's so much fun. So yeah, I think I think it depends, and like for the one shot, I think it was good to have some structure because it was our first
Mm-hmm.
experience with it. I don't think if you gave us absolute complete freedom that we would
Yeah.
then know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. I think also that's the thing about one shots.
Yeah.
Like one shots are usually not the things where you have many, many choices. And even if you have
No.
choices to take, I mean, in this one shot that we did, it's
Yeah.
called a wild sheep chase. You can
Mm-hmm.
find it online. It's a free one. It's a one created by another DM, so it's not an official D&D one shot,
Yeah.
but it's really, really cool. It's really
It was
fun.
so much fun.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a really good one shot, a wild sheep chase.
Mm-hmm.
I can really recommend it.
Yeah.
And like there's not a lot of choices you can take there. Like you can't really say,
No.
"Okay, I'll go a different path" or something. There's like
Yeah.
one big choice at the end. I'm not going to say anything about that. But there again, like you had to take a choice, but you didn't really have to live with the consequences. That's the
Yeah.
thing with one shots. Like you have a
Yeah.
choice, but in the end you don't really have to live with the consequences.
No.
So
It's true.
basically, the one shot I played in D&D, my character came across a demon, and that demon offered to help, like to give me a gift in exchange for my
Okay.
soul. And
Oh
for
wow.
my for my character, that was a really huge choice, right? Like the way I play my character, like she wouldn't just give her soul to anyone, but in the point it felt like it was needed, and I
Okay.
promised the demon my soul. And what I did was like I had to throw a d6, so a six-sided dice, and the amount that I rolled would higher my charisma, I think, which means, I
Okay.
mean, like the max you can
Yeah.
get is 20. And I think I had a charisma of 14 or 16 or 15, something like that. So it was okay, but
Yeah.
not too
It
high.
was pretty good. Yeah.
And if I gotten 6, like that could have been like amazing, right? But
Yeah.
I literally sold my soul and I like got a 1, so it only it only went up a little bit. And I mean, for the campaign, that for the one shot, that was okay. But if you
Yeah,
now
of
imagine
course.
that was in a campaign, then
Yeah.
basically one of the characters sold their soul to a demon. That would have, like, in a campaign, that would have
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
consequences, right?
Yeah.
But
That's
in a
true.
one shot, it was like, in the end, it was like, would have been nice
Yeah.
to have higher stats for the last boss fight. But on the other hand, it was just like, oh, okay, well, still better
It's
than nothing.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's kind of
good.
the thing with
Yeah.
one shots. I think you have like choices and consequences, but in the end they don't really hurt you because
No.
you're just gonna leave again and
Yeah,
leave
and
the
it's good to see
character.
what would happen if you do make like the bad decisions, I guess, but without like you said having the consequences following you the
Exactly.
whole game. Like that's not the
Exactly,
point.
yeah. So that's what I'm really excited about with the campaign, because that's like the one thing that's missing from so many RPG games, right? That you have to
Yeah.
make choices and the consequences are huge.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really happen that much in video games, because I feel like they're always kind of locked in the story that they planned,
Yeah.
because they
It's
can't
true.
just like
No, they can't make
program
like a
two
million.
different games for like two different
Yeah.
choices. And that's the beauty of D&D. So basically,
Yeah.
if one of one of the characters that you make, if your character's gonna sell her soul to a demon, then that will have really big consequences for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And you don't know what that's gonna be. Wouldn't know at the moment maybe what that's gonna be, but I could do whatever I want. Like, no, that's just so many possibilities that can
There
happen.
is. Yeah.
And I really, really like that. That's what makes D&D so exciting, in my opinion.
And what do you think, like, having been on both sides now, being just like a player and being a DM, what kind of is your opinion on it now? Like, do you feel like you prefer one to the other? Is one a bit harder? Of course, I guess the DM is a bit harder. But like, so what has been your, what are the differences? What has been your experience with that?
So when I started, and when I started learning about D&D, and when I played the first few times, I could have never, ever, ever, ever imagined to DM my
Yeah.
own game.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a very organized person. I'm not a very, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, leading kind of person. And the thing is, in the end, the DM is the leader, and he's usually the one, or they are usually the one. I don't know why I use a male pronoun. That makes no sense. Girls can be DMs.
That makes no sense.
Anyone
Yeah,
can be
you
DMs.
are.
So the DM is usually, they are the ones that organize everything, that organize the day, that kind of tell the players what they can do, what they can't do. And I didn't really
Yeah.
see myself in this position. And
Okay.
I don't know, I don't exactly remember how it got to that, but I think I was watching this High Roller stream, this
Yeah.
campaign, and the DM there basically at some point made a video explaining the backgrounds of
Okay.
how he organized everything. And there was this
okay.
episode where they stormed an abbey because they learned of a cult that was like doing something in there, and
Yeah.
things just went sideways. Like, shit hit the fan, literally.
Yeah.
It went
yeah.
so wrong, and I was like, how did that go so wrong? And then the DM like explained all the things that he did in the background and all the possibilities they would have had. And it really fascinated me, because at that point the party didn't really do anything wrong. It was just like bad luck, not the best strategy, and some
Okay,
good
like a
luck at some
mixture
point.
of things.
Yeah, there's like so
Yeah.
many different
Yeah.
things that he had organized in the background. He basically was considering, okay, there's patrols in this area and they snuck in, so where are they when they do this, and where's this person when they do that, and where's that person when they climb up the tower, that kind of thing. And it just kind of fitted together that there was this huge plot twist coming that not even the DM saw coming. Like literally, he was just thinking, okay, what would happen? Okay, the party did that, so that would have this consequence, and that's what
Yeah.
fascinated it, because you kind of built this world, and
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to write stories, especially fantasy stories.
Yeah.
And you build
Yeah,
this
that's
world,
true.
and then you let some people go in it. It's like, you build this little kind of sandcastle or something, or this little
Yeah.
puppet home. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, people go play in it, and then you just see what happens.
Yeah,
And
you are
that
literally playing the role of God, really.
Yes,
I mean,
yes. I'm like,
that's all
okay,
that
I'm
it is.
creating
Yeah.
something, and then I put some dumbasses in there, and then I'll see
Yeah.
what happens to them. And
Yeah.
that's what fascinated me. And then and
Yeah.
suddenly I was like, I want to try that. I want to
Yeah.
create a world and put dumbasses in there and see what happens. And that's what I really really like, and this is what makes me so excited, because
Mm.
you prepare something and then people come and they're not gonna do what you expect, and that's
No.
that's the fun thing.
Yeah, it's the
And
unpredictability. Yeah.
yes,
That's
and that's
fun.
super exciting. That's super exciting.
But
But
do you still think like you enjoy still playing a player as well? Like
yes,
having done both now?
I
Yeah.
think I'd still prefer to play myself. Like I like
Okay.
that a little
Yeah.
bit more, because I like exploring things. I really like
Yeah.
that. I really like being the dumbass who gets put into something.
Yeah.
But I never would have thought. But I do enjoy managing the party and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I immensely enjoy the world building. Like, oh my, I
Yeah.
spent so many hours already just reading up
Yeah.
on things.
It's amazing
Yeah.
how much effort you put into that.
But
Yeah.
that's already the downside to being the DM, and I think that's the one
Yeah.
thing that people need to
Yeah.
know. It's, as a player, you create your character, you think about it a little bit, and that's it. As a DM, you put hours and hours into it, and there's no point where you can be like, okay, now I've prepared enough. No, like
Yeah.
that will, I've seen that so far. I haven't prepared that much, but you'll never come to a point where I feel like where you feel like you prepared enough. No, you'll always be able to do more, and that's the hard thing. Like, it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you think you get out more satisfaction as a player for that reason because you don't have to prepare as much and like you kind of just play in that world, whereas a DM it's a lot of work, you know, and I don't know, I guess you get satisfaction of course you know, from the NPCs you create and just the world itself
Mm-hmm.
and seeing us explore it, but it's not like you said, it's not as much as the player, right? You can't really explore that yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe the satisfaction is different in those cases as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So as a player, I really like, the mysteries that you unravel,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
more than often don't unravel because you just
Yeah.
can't find the right clues. Like that's very exciting, very
Hmm.
satisfying as well. As a DM, because you already know everything.
Yeah.
So you usually get the fun out of being like, haha, that there's this one big clue that was kind of obvious, but they didn't see it. That kind of thing. You have that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, what I've seen, like, gave me most joy is, like, the excitement of the players. And
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, we
Yeah.
have we have the group chat, right, where we talk about
Yeah.
it, and I
Yeah.
loved, like, after every session how it just exploded. And
It just keeps
you
going.
like go for 5 minutes and you come back to 50 plus unread messages on
Yeah.
Discord, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I think they had
And
fun.
the funny thing is, we're still all in character. Like we end up having conversations as our characters
Yeah.
after the session.
And that's really really lovely to see.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's probably, yeah, the kind of thing that you managed to do something that gave other people so much joy and that they enjoyed
Yeah.
so much, and that's a really good feeling.
I
That
can
feels
imagine.
great. Yeah.
You're like the mom, you know, like the mother hen, like overlooking everything. Like all the
Yeah.
kids are having fun. Yeah.
And yeah, I think, I mean, and so far I've only played, like, managed or DM'd the one shot at the beginning of
Yeah.
our campaign, so there's not too much of my own stuff in there yet.
Yeah.
So I'm
not yet.
really excited how it will feel like when the NPCs and the quests and the things you
Yeah.
do will be my own, like that I've created. And I'm
Yeah.
really excited about that, because I think that will just give it even more satisfaction in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, amazing! I'm so excited for our campaign. Honestly, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
same.
I have to say, like, I was very nervous at the start,
Mm-hmm.
especially, I think like, we've had quite different experiences where you do like, you love RPGs, you love,
Mm-hmm.
this aspect of
Mm-hmm.
it, and you watched a few videos, and I kind of went into it a bit blind because
Mm-hmm.
I knew a little bit about it, and you sent us so many resources, which really helped, of course, at the start, but I didn't really have a big history, and you guys
Mm-hmm.
know I'm rubbish at RPGs in
Mm-hmm.
general, so I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't gonna go well at all. But the one thing that scared me starting off was honestly just the role play. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to be this character? And you're like, am I gonna feel silly doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is that going to be?
And
And
how was it? I mean, did you feel silly?
um I think honestly it's like for like the first few seconds you feel silly, and then when you get into it, it doesn't matter, you're just so
Yeah.
into the character and
Mm-hmm.
into the story that it doesn't matter anymore. But I think it's honestly like a confidence booster as well, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because you can just be these different roles and no one's going to judge you. It's something new that you have to try out. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's interesting. I think if anyone's like worried about it or they're scared, I think it is important though to for my situation, like I know all of you well, everyone in
Mm-hmm.
our party, and you of course DM. So I think that also helped because it's not like I'm, you know, being these characters in front of complete
Mm-hmm.
strangers. And for me that's a big deal. I have to know the people.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah. So that really helped, I think, to just get
Mm-hmm.
into it. And of course, like at the start, you're nervous. Yesterday before we started the campaign, we were like, oh, we're a bit nervous. And, but it's exciting. It's like the exciting
Yes.
adrenaline you
Uh-huh.
feel. So,
Yeah. And
how did you feel like with roleplay? I don't know. How was your
um
experience?
I always felt very nervous, but I always tried
Yeah.
to push past it. Basically what I have to admit, like our group, your group,
Mm-hmm.
you're all very, very much into that role playing thing. Like you're all so in it and you don't talk out of character a lot, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is really remarkable, especially for a group that's new.
Okay.
The group I play in, they're not that much into the RPing, especially also because the other friends that they play with
Mm-hmm.
usually don't RP that much.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I came in there not knowing, like, not with not much D&D experience except what I watch from campaigns online where they
Yeah.
obviously RP a lot. So
Yeah.
I was like in there, and I think it also helped the group because I always feel like there's group dynamics, of course, like of the adventure groups, but also of the
Yeah.
players. There's a
Mm-hmm.
dynamic coming. So if you have like one that doesn't RP at all, like the others will feel shy about RPing as well.
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
think. I think, and that's another tip for DMs out there. Not that I have a lot of experience, but my
Yeah.
experience that I made is like if you get the whole group to really go into there and like not take themselves too seriously and really
Yeah.
RP from the start, it's gonna be much easier for the whole campaign.
But do you know what helped with that?
Mm-hmm.
I have to give all credit to you because during the one shot, Denise literally took. If you guys do that campaign that she told you about with
Mm-hmm.
the sheep, she literally got into the role of the sheep straight away. And I didn't know what to expect. So suddenly, like, Denise puts on this amazing voice, right? And I was just like, damn, like, she's going in. But that was that moment. I was like, oh, like, yes, let's do this. Let's role play. Let's make it fun. Let's not take ourselves seriously because that's the point.
Oh,
So
I
I
didn't
think
know that.
yeah, but I think that's important. Like if your DM is also into that and they play the NPCs well, you're going to feel more like you're in the world, and that's going to help you RP as well. That's what I think. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So it was good that you did that because
Oh yeah.
otherwise I think we'd also be a bit shy, especially because it's the one shot and we don't want to be silly in front of each other. So
Oh yeah, the
yeah,
sheep. Oh my
the
god.
sheep. I will never forget.
I
I will
was
never forget
so
the sheep.
I was nervous about RPing the sheep because I know I can do a good goat thing. I can do that well. I can be like So I was like, oh my god, am I gonna do that? And because you have the scripture, and it was like, no, he can talk, but he can talk normally afterwards, but he still have like the little barking of the sheep. So I'm like, okay, how am I gonna do that? And I was there, and I was so nervous, and I was just like, help me. And they did like, have you watched the movie Babe? With the sheep.
Yes.
The sheep there?
Yeah.
And I actually watched that recently, so I just imagined the sheep from the movie Babe, and I was like, hello. And that's how I went with it.
Oh, amazing.
But but I think that's the thing, like, you cannot take yourself seriously. Like, maybe don't play with your crush, because if you want to impress someone, it's gonna set you
that's
up.
not the game for you, yeah. Yeah. But I think, like, on the other hand, I can imagine that groups that do want to play it more seriously and don't want to RP are also fine. Like, I feel like no one should feel pressured to do it, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's good to come out of your comfort zone and try it at least. But if you really feel like, oh my god, this is so cringy and I'm not getting into the character, then that's okay. Like, I think the nice thing about it is it's so flexible that you can just do what you prefer to do, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And I've watched a lot of videos about DMing and playing D&D and everything, and the main thing that I learned there is that they always say, do your own thing, do what feels right for you and the players. And I still gotta learn that too, especially with you guys, because you might not really know yet what you want, and I don't really know yet what I want out of the game as a DM, but you gotta go in there and you kind of gotta do what feels right. And as I said, like the group I play with, they even told me that in some games they don't RP at all. They just kind of talk out of character voices and be like, okay, my character says that, my character does that, instead of and I'm walking to the corner, like with the voice and everything. So and they still have a good time. Some of them might be fine with that. Some of them might want to RP a little bit more, but in the end, they still have fun. It's still a fun game, no matter what.
Yeah, very true.
And that's
the thing. And what do you think about, like, about this? I guess it's not stigma, but I guess the generalization of D&D, because I didn't realize, like, I know it sounds so naive, but I didn't realize that so many people play it, I guess, and they're so interested in it. And now, obviously, that I've played it, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna do this like for the rest of my life. But before that, you just don't hear about it as much. I think I haven't heard about it as much, and I always was under the kind of impression that you have to really not be nerdy, but you have to really know about the fantasy worlds and all these different magical creatures. And I personally, as you guys know, like I'm not into that as much as like other people might be. So I was just a bit like, oh, it's not for me. Like, I'm not the sort of person that would do it. But I'm so like upset that I didn't try it earlier now, so I guess from what I've seen, there's still those impressions that you might have. Do you find that?
I think D&D is still like the pinnacle of nerddom, I suppose. Right? And I remember I started listening to the Adventure Zone, and they talked about like why they only started now with playing D&D, and this one guy said the DM there said, well, basically he knew about D&D and he was a nerd as a child, but he wasn't nerdy enough for D&D. And I think it's only in the last few years that D&D has gotten so popular again. I think thanks to Critical Role, for example, thanks to it being mentioned in Stranger Things, these kind of things, and that's how it got super popular again. Like, it wasn't that mainstream a few years ago.
No, that's
true. And I think it's only coming now, and I feel like a lot of people don't see themselves nerdy enough. Like, I tried to talk my boyfriend into playing with me, and he was like, no, I'm not that kind of nerd. And I'm like, just you wait, I'll get you there and you will love it. But
he would love it. I
know, that's the thing, like, I know he would, because it's so much fun, and he's a very silly person, and I think he'd get so much out of it because he could play a total idiot. So I will get
Yeah.
him to that point, and if he listens to that, Lucas, I will get you there, and you will love it. So yeah, I think yes, it is very nerdy, and obviously you have that big kind of factor to overcome of you
Yeah.
really have to get into character. But again, like you don't have to do it that much if that makes you
No,
feel
no.
better. But I
Yeah.
think it makes it much more fun, and
Yeah.
it's like one hurdle you have to overtake, and as soon as you do that, like as soon as you put on your silliest voice for the first time, it's just gonna be so easy and it's so gonna be worth it. And
Yeah.
it is nerdy, yes, but I think we're way past the point where the nerds are just, I don't know,
Yeah.
weird
We're way past the
guys peeing
stereotypes,
into.
I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. We're just
Yeah.
not there anymore. So I don't know.
And
It's
I
time
think it
to
does
not take
change.
yourself that serious anymore.
Yeah. But I think you're right that it is becoming a bit not like mainstream, but it's becoming more and more
Mm-hmm.
in our communities, like especially gaming communities.
Yeah.
And I think before, if you think about it, even gaming in general was nerdy. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially like for girls, it was like, oh my goodness, like you're
Mm-hmm.
gaming. Wow, you must be really a nerd, to like play video games. And now it's like I mean, most people, well, not most people, but you know what I mean? A lot of people have like a console at home at least, or
Yeah.
a computer with some
Mm-hmm.
games on it, or even on your phone. Like
Yeah,
we did that whole
absolutely.
episode and we were
Yeah.
like, people play on their phone all the time. So I think those lines are becoming blurred a little bit, and I
Mm-hmm.
hope that's all happen with D&D because I don't know, more people should experience it. It's just
Yes,
so
it's
good.
really like the thing is there's nothing like D&D. I don't
No.
know anything that could compare to
Yeah.
that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like
Exactly.
it's like I mean I don't do drugs and I don't know what doing drugs is like, but
Neither do
that's
I.
what I imagine, like if you take this amazing drug for the
Yeah.
first time and you're like, oh my god, this is good, except that like it doesn't actually make you physically addicted and you don't
Yeah.
take like you don't get sick from it or anything like that. So it's just like you do it for the first time and it's like, oh my god, it's like a whole new world opening
It
up.
is. It
Imagine
is a whole new
Jasmine
world,
riding
honestly.
off with Aladdin on a magic carpet, and the
Yeah.
magic carpet is D&D. Like that's literally how it feels like.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true.
Hmm.
That's so true. Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about D&D as this fantasy role playing, but there's
Mm.
so many. I mean, D&D is not the only
Yeah.
tabletop pen and paper role playing um game. There's
Yeah.
many others. I even played for a few sessions. Unfortunately, that kind of dispersed after a few months. I played a German version that's called Das Schwarze Auge. I think it's called The Dark Eye in English, but it's
Okay.
originally German. It's not as big as D&D, but functions very similarly, just a little bit more complex. And there's like so many others as well. And
Okay.
even just D&D, there's so many different settings. You can do a sci-fi setting, you can even do a modern setting, you can do a Wild West setting. There's you can like adjust the rules yourself. Like the rules are very flexible like that. You're very free how you do this. Or there's
Yeah.
even like, I mean, at least I think there's a Star Wars setting already.
Oh,
If you Google it, you'll find so many things. Like,
yeah.
it's so free. You can do anything. You can literally do anything with it, and that's the thing. Like, it doesn't have to be fantasy. You can do a Star Wars setting.
Yeah.
I think that's how I'll get my
And
boyfriend
also,
to do it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think one of the things as well, it can even sometimes overwhelm you because there's so much choice and freedom. But I
Mm-hmm.
think what's nice is that there's so many websites out there, and you just Google it, and people have like stories or they have experiences that they can share with you, or you
Mm-hmm.
can just watch like tutorials. And so even if you're starting out and you're just not sure, just especially for the one shot, just experiment with it, experiment with your character and see what works for you, see what
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, and then you can, yeah, carry on with that. But yeah, I think don't be overwhelmed. Just try something
Yes.
out, I think, because I
Start
was a bit
somewhere.
overwhelmed at the start, like
There's
choosing
so
the,
much information. Yeah.
yeah, and choosing like the class and the, and like religion and things like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh my god, what is going on here? But yeah, I think especially even if you have like a supportive DM as well, then they can help you, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, it's just so much out there, and just pick something. Pick what you like the sound of. Don't overthink it. I'd say,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
right?
I agree. And like even with religion and so, for example, the paladin that I played in
Mm-hmm.
the Straw campaign.
Yeah.
So basically, I didn't really know any of the gods out of the D&D world, so I didn't really know
Yeah.
what to pick. And paladin, they're like oath warriors, and they're usually
Mm.
closely associated with a god. And I was like, I
Okay.
don't know what god to take. So what I did, I
No.
just didn't define the god in the beginning. I was like,
Okay.
it just won't come up. And it did
Yeah.
even come up at the in the game, and then I was like out of character. I was like, sorry, I didn't know what to take, so I haven't defined it. And then it was fine, and now I've found
Yeah.
someone that fits, and then taking that, and it's
Yeah.
fine. Like you don't. With our campaign, we now have quite elaborate backstories, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to do that. You don't have
No.
to like prepare an elaborate backstory. Worst case, ask your DM.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Maybe
And I found
backstories won't
that
even
website
matter.
as well. I mean, I had no idea what to do for my
Mm-hmm.
backstory because I was just overwhelmed. I was like, I could do anything. I don't know. But I even found that website, and maybe I'll leave it in like the description of the podcast and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But it's so nice because it just literally randomizes stories based on your class and stuff, and race, of course. So you can put
Mm-hmm.
information in, and then it just like like randomly generates it. So there's so many things like that out there that even if you feel like, oh, I'm not creative enough, or I don't have that imagination to come up with this huge backstory and character details, you don't have to, that's the nice thing as well. Yeah, that there's so much out there to help you with that.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
what was I gonna say? Yeah, oh yeah, you can also just take inspiration from fictional characters. Is there a fictional
Yeah.
character you really like? Try and make them in D&D. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. Like that's
No.
absolutely legitimate. I mean, we one of the guys I play with, I think he literally once made Hulk. So he just took a Goliath, which is like a big muscly race from D&D, and made him really stupid, like low intelligent, low wisdom, and big strength, and you have Hulk. And I mean, in the end,
Amazing.
in the game, you don't have to stay true to that character, but you can just be okay. I'll take roughly these
Just this
characteristics
inspiration.
from this
Yeah.
as inspiration, and then I'll see where it takes me. I
Yeah.
mean, my person, like my character in Strat, is called Cassandra, and she's a human warrior with short dark black hair. And guess in which game there's a Cassandra with short dark black hair? No, it's not Assassin's Creed. It's not that Cassandra. It's Dragon Age. There's a
Ah,
Cassandra
Dragon Age.
there.
Okay, I mean it's either
Muscly.
three of them: Assassin's Creed, Dragon Age, or Mass Effect.
Yeah.
It's one of the three, isn't
Shit,
it?
I gotta do Shepherd. I gotta do Shepherd. Oh, I'm gonna do
You
that.
do, you
Yeah.
do, you should. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I mean that's just the thing. Like character wise, she's not like that Cassandra at all. But
No,
in my head, she literally looks like Cassandra.
yeah,
And
and
like,
that's
who's gonna
fine,
take that away from me? Who's gonna say I
Yeah,
can't do that?
no one.
Yeah, maybe the DM, but like, there's nothing bad about it. I
No.
don't think like if you have a DM like that, you might want to have a talk with them.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
what kind of so like yeah, we've done like we kind of transitioned into some like tips, I guess,
Hmm.
for like starting out. But what kind of tips would you have for DMs that just want to get started?
Um, first off, get started. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Just do it.
if creating a new character and if getting into D&D as a character is overwhelming, getting into it as a DM is crazy. Like, there's
Yeah.
so much information. Like, even in the official rules, there's so many different universes, there's so many game settings. It's really, really hard to just make a decision
Okay.
where to start. And the thing
Mhm.
is, just start somewhere. So what I did with the one shot, I basically just Googled one shots and I took one that came up there, and I
Mhm.
got really lucky with the one I did. And one shots I think are a really, really good way to start to DM.
Yeah.
And so my friends, when I asked them, my D&D friends, they said I should probably not do my first DMing with new players. They said they'd offer themselves, but they didn't have time because quarantine and we couldn't meet and everything. So I did actually DM the first one shot, my first DMing with the new players, with Gabi and the others.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, really good for me.
Yeah.
Because you start, and as a DM in the beginning, you're so slow because, oh my god, you have to keep track of so many things. And I don't have a printer at home. I just have my really old MacBook, and I was totally overwhelmed. I had so many tabs open, and I was just very, very slow. But that was okay because everyone was extremely slow.
Yeah, everyone was slow. We all had no idea.
So the first combat that we did took ages, even though it was relatively simple and not much happened.
Compared to now, like the ones we did yesterday was like over. No, well, the first part was over quite quickly, was it? Because we know what we're doing now.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's okay. Like, just take the time. And
definitely.
And I don't know. The other thing is kind of make a decision if you want to go. If you do a campaign, decide if you want to go homebrew or adventure, like pre-made adventure. And I'd say for beginning, probably pre-made adventure is better.
Pre-made, yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is we're starting out with a pre-made adventure. I adjusted a little bit. Like, I do some changes. Like, you're allowed to do that. No one's gonna stop you. No one minds at all. Like, no author of an adventure will come up to you and be like, no, you did it wrong. That's never gonna happen. And so I start with that, and then I want to go into a homebrew campaign. But the ideas that I've had a few ideas. I keep writing them down, write everything down. That's the other tip. Like, literally write every idea down. And a lot of the things are also inspired by video games, by stories I've read, by movies I've watched. Like, you don't have to come up with something completely new. Like, you don't have to reinvent Hogwarts or something like that. Just just do something and talk with your players. Like, the best idea I've had from the world is like me talking with the players and be like, okay, what do you want your character to be like? And they're like, okay, I want to be a dwarf that does magic. So I'm thinking, okay, dwarves don't really do magic, so how are we gonna implement that in the world? And that's how I kind of adjusted the dwarf race to fit our campaign and our characters. And I thought that was really inspiring.
That's true. It's nice to just, you kind of, you don't have to feel like on your own, even if you are the DM. You can always even just talk to your players and bounce ideas off each other. I like that. I like actually that we did that, because that was really nice. Before our first campaign, we spent I think like 2 weeks just. I mean, Denise was obviously preparing everything, but we also had sessions as players just with her on her own, and then we can just literally talk about these things and take our time with it. There was no rush, so. I like that a lot. That was really nice.
And I really think that works really well as a DM or as a player. Like, that tip goes both ways. Like, talk with each other and talk about your expectations and invent things together. Because especially with the races of the player, like Gabi's playing a tiefling. So she said, okay, I want to have that kind of background. And I'm like, okay, what can I do about tiefling history that will fit into that? And that makes it easier because you don't have to invent something from the ground up. You can take what your player want. You can take what you already know about tiefling and adjust it and change it and invent it or keep it the same as you like. And that's what makes it really fun, right? So I don't have to invent my own world with its own rules and laws and history.
We kind of meet halfway in that situation.
So that's really cool. And I don't know, just kind of figure out what you want and what you expect from it, and communicate with the players, and the players communicate with the DM. Because again, like, just the questions: how much do you want to RP? How much? Like, how leader do you want to be? Do you want to be able to walk into any direction at any time? Or do you really want to follow the storyline very strictly or something? Like, do you want to have very let quests? Or do you want to be like, okay, this is the world. Where do you want to go? All these kind of things that you can figure out. And best is if you figure it out together.
100%.
Yeah.
And what do you see yourself like in the future? How do you see yourself with D&D? What do you think?
I definitely want to keep playing it. I want to
Yeah.
still be playing it when I'm like really old in an elderly home. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. Like, it's so
Yes.
much fun, and I don't think
Yeah, it
it's
is.
something you really grow out of because I mean,
No.
I'm going towards 30 now, and I love it more than ever, and I think
Yeah.
it's not gonna get worse. So I want to keep playing it. I want to keep playing it as a player. Like, I really don't want to lose that aspect of it because, as I said, I
Mm.
still prefer it a little bit more, and it gives you still so much excitement, but I kind of want to keep back going with the DMing as well.
Ah, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, what
You kind
about
of
you?
want to still improve yourself
Yes.
and do it over a long time. Yeah.
Because
That would be
it's
awesome.
one of the things, you kind of start and you don't know what you're doing. I still don't know what
Of
I'm doing,
course.
but I know,
Yeah.
like, if I keep doing this for 10 years, I'll be good and I'll know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and then it will be even more fun, right?
Of
I hope.
course.
No, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that's true.
sure.
Yeah.
So what
No,
about
I
you?
think yeah, I think I'm in the same boat, honestly. I think I can't imagine not playing it anymore because like even whilst you're playing, you have so many ideas and you have like, oh, like I want to play this
Hmm.
character next time, or in
Yeah.
case something happens to my character, I already have a backup, like
Same.
like
Same.
right, but there's always that
Hmm.
excitement that there's
Hmm.
so many stories, there's so many characters, there's so many different personalities that I don't think you can ever get bored of it. So
No.
I would love to just
Hmm.
keep playing it, and I don't think I would go down the DM route. At least I don't see myself doing that. I know you said the same, but
Hmm.
I don't, it's a lot of hard work, and I
It
think
is.
you have to be very confident as well, and you have to be that leader position. So for now I'm just enjoying being a player so much, and I want to
Hmm.
keep doing that. I want to keep playing
Yeah.
as
It
a
is
yeah.
addicting, right? It is
It is
really.
so addicting.
And I
It's
think
so
it's
addicting.
probably I can't pinpoint it, but I think it's the freedom that you have and
It
really
is, and
the
I think
sheer
it
amount
is.
of possibilities.
Yeah, like you literally just compared it to drugs, but I think like it is that kind of escape that you need sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like in your own life you always have that role, I guess, of just being you every single day, right? You're the
Mm-hmm.
same person, or you have to like meet the standards of society, blah blah blah. And you come home and you're like, okay, now I'm a freaking like tiefling, who's like a badass and I'm killing everyone, and that's like awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who wouldn't want that after like a
Yeah.
hard day's work or something? Or I don't know. It's just a nice escape. It's a
Yeah, it
really nice
is.
escape.
And it does make you feel a little high. Did you have that experience?
Yeah.
That you so
Like when you get really
mhm.
into it. Yeah,
Like
you're so
after a game I'm
excited.
like so excited, and I
Yeah.
for like 2 hours after I can't really talk or think about anything else.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I
even
think in the
longer.
last 2 weeks before our campaign, all of us, all we thought about was D and
Yeah.
D. Like we talked every single day on the Discord, like, oh, I want to do this, or I just thought of this, or
Mhm.
like, one of our players just keeps sending like memes to us of D
Yeah.
and D. It's just the best. It's just the
It's
best.
amazing. And basically
Yeah.
my boyfriend texted me last night and we was like, yeah, how was it? And I was like, okay, so get ready, I will only talk about D&D this weekend. And that's what it is
Yeah.
like and you really have it's probably not adrenaline, I don't know, there's some hormone that gets out there and it makes you
Yeah.
feel so
Dopamine
so
probably or something.
excited. Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
that's not a scientific
I don't
fact, that's
know.
just something
Whoever's
I
good at
feel.
chemistry can tell us. Yeah.
So you get out of here
Oh,
there and you're in such a high because it's so
yeah.
exciting, it's so
It is.
exciting.
It is. So I think the end no is that we would highly, highly, highly recommend
Mm-hmm.
it. Right? If anyone hasn't tried it and you
Mm-hmm.
have the chance to try it, definitely go for it. It's so much fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I think most people would enjoy it. Like you can do so
Yes.
much with it in your own way that
Mm-hmm.
most people would enjoy it, I would say.
Yeah, and I'd say just like as a tip to get started, find people that want to do it too. Like talk with your friends, and
Yeah.
if you don't find anyone at the moment, just keep watching all those online streams. You can watch our campaign.
Definitely.
You can watch more famous one. I think there's plenty on Twitch too. Like watch
Oh,
these.
yeah,
Even
plenty.
that is already exciting to watch. And
Yeah.
try and find people. Try and find them in
And
real life. Try and find them on the
Yeah.
internet.
And if you do join those communities, especially on Twitch, I'm sure you'll find others in the chat that want to also give it a go, you know? So you can find like-minded people.
Exactly.
And then kind of create a group together. And, you know, you don't have to also just do it in real life. I mean, we're all doing it over the internet.
Yes.
We've got one person in America in a complete different time zone. So it is possible to do it in virtually with, you know, people from all over the world. Like, it's definitely possible.
Yeah. And try sites like, I think we'll probably link them. I think we can link them, right?
Yeah.
I personally
Put them in
use
the
D&D
description.
Beyond because I couldn't go out into a shop during the quarantine and get the books.
Yeah.
So I got them on D&D Beyond. So for D&D Beyond, you need to spend money on the things you want to do and get the player's handbook.
But not from the start. Like, first
No.
do the one shot, I would say, without, like,
Yes,
investing
absolutely.
yet. Yeah.
But I'd say it is worth getting the books. You
Yeah.
don't have to. There's some free resources out there, and you can even do it yourself. You don't have to get the books, but D&D Beyond definitely helps. Makes it a lot easier to create the character as well. But there's
Yeah.
also sites like Roll20. There's wikis out there. Do that. Check out High Rollers as a campaign, like online campaign that you can watch.
We watch Critical Role as well.
Critical
That's a
Role
nice
is
one.
famous
Yeah.
and apparently really, really good. I've never watched it,
It's
but
so good.
I've heard so
but it's
much
Matt
good.
Mercer. How can you
Yeah,
not? You know, he's just the best.
I know. But I mean, just the thing is with High Rolls, that's like 3 hours a week. That's a lot of time.
Okay.
3 to 4
Yeah.
hours. And then if
Yeah,
you
so
have
it
to
takes
watch
up,
multiple
yeah.
ones, yes. But
Yeah.
there's also the Adventure Zone as a podcast, which is fucking hilarious. It's so
Okay.
it takes, like, if you wanna know what it's like to play it a little bit more silly, less
Yeah.
serious. Watch out the Adventure Zone. Really, really funny. Like, it made me laugh out on the streets multiple times. So it's fucking hilarious. And yeah, Google it, read up on it. Like, you
Yeah.
can easily spend hours just reading up on it.
Definitely.
Try and get yourself in there and ask people. And if you don't find anyone to DM, try it yourself. It's not that hard, and it is really satisfying.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's leave it here then. I think
so,
this is a good
yeah.
note to end it on.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much for watching.
And
if you're on
listening.
YouTube, listening to us. And yeah, we've got, of course, our first part of the campaign has gone up. It is on the Salty Couple channel on Twitch, but we'll kind of leave that in the description. And otherwise, you can check us out on Twitter, on Instagram. We're everywhere as Games and Giggles.
Absolutely.
But yeah. Till
Well,
next time, I guess, right?
Yeah. And now
Yeah.
we're gonna go prepare more of the campaign.
Yes. Having said that,
Okay.
bye
All right
everyone.
then.
Take
Bye
care.
bye. Take care.